welcome back to Lessons of a Housewife. If you are not already, make sure you are subscribed to my channel. Hit the notification button to alert you from my next videos. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and let's talk about this. Now, I recently watched a video with Just Pearly Things on 8 at the Table. Shout out to Just Pearly Things and 8 at the Table for this topic of discussion and their content. Check them out also on YouTube if you haven't done so already. So the conversation starts off with, if body count didn't matter, why lie about it? I wanted to discuss the first part of this discussion and review with my input. This was an hour-long video, so I just broke down the first 20 minutes. Make sure you leave timestamps in the comment below and share this video, and let's begin.
So let's jump right into the topic. Lonnie, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Pearl, are you ready for this?
I am.
All right, so the topic today is, if body count doesn't matter, why do women lie about it? I mean, a girl, like, it got to the point where, shout out J. Cole, he put out in his song, whatever number she tells you, multiply it by 3. Because men have been lied to about a woman's body count forever. You know, it's a conversation that always happens, and we're not trying to uncover the body count of a woman. I don't really think anybody's really asking what's your body count too much nowadays. However, if the topic is or conversation is brought upon, men are inclined to believe that women are going to lie about it before they're honest.
Why? Well, it does matter, and that's why women lie. Because, I don't like, they want, it's like, because the more men you sleep with, the less valuable you are, so they're trying to sell a used Honda Civic at BMW prices, and if they tell the dealer, the buyer the mileage, then they have to lower the price.
I agree. Lonnie, what about you? Do you agree?
I don't agree. Like, why does my body count, like, if you don't know and my value is all the way up here, like, what does it matter? Like, I don't think it's even a question to ask someone. Like,
Okay, I wanted to stop it here. This woman said she didn't think it should matter. If a man doesn't know, then why should it matter? I look at this as it showing that women obviously care about the body count. Otherwise, why wouldn't it be mentioned? If you are not ashamed of it yourself, why can't this be upfront information? You know, I believe it's because they actually understand how they are looked at for having a list of partners in their history. They don't want to admit that fact because it pushes them down the total pole of dating. You know, they have to validate their past sexual encounters to prove that their choices with men weren't bad choices or their fault. They don't want to take accountability about their sexual behavior if it's looked at in a negative way, but they praise the actions to other women like it's a win. They know it matters, but don't want it to matter. But let's move on.
who cares what my body count is?
Okay, so I agree with you on one thing. I don't think it's like there's a high ROI on men asking because, like, what are the odds you get the truth, one? And two, it's like, even if she is telling the truth, you're going to assume she's lying. So, like, okay, I mean, you can ask, but...
I'm saying I think it's the stigma, though.
But two, it's because men and women are different. So they're valued for different things. Like, you're looking at it from a female lens. So, like, as a woman with a guy, like, we don't really care what his body count is. But men, they value purity and youth. Like, throughout all of time, men have always wanted pure, young virgins. And so, if you're not young and you're not pure, then you're just not what men value anymore.
According to who?
According to,
And
like...
okay, according to... and that's the problem. I think there's a stigma as to what it is that you're supposed to be. And if you have... I'm not sure even what the body count is supposed to be. It's like you're a slut, a whore, or whatever. But we need to destigmatize that because...
So you see how she said, according to who? Just Pearly Things just said how men look for women that are pure young virgins. And if you don't have that, your value is lower. So what does she mean according to who? This is a natural attraction for men since we've been here. So what does she mean by according to who? According to men's biological design? According to the history of man? Also, modern women trying to destigmatize or change the idea of the slut term or the idea of the slut, all because you chose to take the slut route, it's not going to change men's desire for youth, fertility, and pure women. Now, they won't mind sleeping with women that will get around, but they won't offer women that sleep around relationships. There are these labels to categorize women for that specific reason. It's never a problem to be called wifey material if you are, so why can't you be called a slut if you are? The shame in that word is needed so girls know what not to be if they are looking for the route to be with a man for the long term. Modern women get bothered by that fact that men will never see used up women as wives. So they want to change the term or quote unquote destigmatize the nature of a slut so they can better their chances instead of changing their behavior. But I'll move on.
I think that the reason why there is an issue because everyone's trying to conform to society's like rules. Who cares what you're like in my culture, if you are a virgin and you have sex with one person, that person's supposed to marry you. It's like, why?
There's a lot of cultures like that.
Yeah, but I don't understand what's the point.
Well, you know
it's
that they have the least you know that anybody who has marriage with 0 to 1 other partners, right? So either no other partners or one other partners have the highest chance of a healthy, committed marriage.
Healthy?
Yeah.
Healthy, according to what?
Well, this is a new census over the recent years. And then
they ask them, do you believe women? Believe all women. Come on. Believe women.
They ask what women?
They ask women. So what they do is they survey the women when they first get married. So they first get married, they say, how many partners have you had? It could be a lie, right? But let's just assume everyone lies by 20%, 10%. Like
30%.
If whatever they're lying by, like everyone was asked the same question. So they say 0 partners, right? Then in 10 years they come back and say, how happy are you in your marriage? And then they say, this is how happy, and they rate them. And so then if they have 0 to 1 partners, like he was saying, like they have an 80% chance of a happy marriage. It seems like the cutoff point is above 5 to like 7. That's kind of when you're like damaged goods. And
Well, they say actually, the consensus it's a newer consensus, right? And it's 3 to 9 was, 10 or more. I forgot the exact number, but 10 or more is like the most likely to have a non-committed relationship, non-committed or happy marriage, right? Then 3 to 9 is then less. And then obviously 2 is kind of like a no man's land. And then 0 to 1 is actually the highest. And it's a higher by like that, like about around 80%.
And how many grandmas did they ask? Because I would think that that's the thing. Because if you ask my grandma why she stayed in a marriage and a terrible marriage for all these years and was she still happy, she'll say yeah.
But you don't think that's beautiful?
No, not when my grandfather was sleeping with 25 other women at the same time and has 25 other kids spread out through the neighborhood.
Now, did y'all hear that? She said her grandmother stayed in a terrible marriage and would say she is happy in this marriage. And she don't see it as a happy marriage because her grandfather had more women and children within the marriage. You know, I hear this from women who had a traditional upbringing. They view their paternal side as an oppressor while the maternal had to just deal with it. And even though they stayed and considered their marriage to be stronger than those issues, modern women will still look at the flaws instead of the highlights of that marriage. Her perception of her grandparents' marriage, where she admitted that she comes from a culture where you marry the first person you slept with, she sees no value in. She overlooked everything the grandfather is doing in that marriage that is positive just to point out he had other children. She don't want to look at the good that's inside a marriage that strong because she don't want to believe that good men can make mistakes or that the biological design of men being able to have multiple women and more kids as something workable in a marriage. Modern women like to create their own problems in relationships. They love looking at all the mistakes or even make up their own mistakes just so they can have a reason to have men look like the bad guy. They listen to their own echo chambers with other modern women who create problems and go back and ruin the relationship they had with unnecessary suspicions. You know, I really wonder what her grandparents think about what she said. Did she ever sit them down and ask how they got through it? Did it bother her grandmother at all? Did it hinder her grandfather in a way from the provision that's necessary for his family? Is it really any of her business at all to even judge their relationship? You know, I'm very curious about that, but let's move on.
But you realize, like, most men, so, like, the idea that this is a widespread thing going on, the men are just cheating, da-da-da-da-da, it's like, it's not based in reality. Like, it might be your personal experience, but most men historically didn't even reproduce. So if you want a faithful guy, it's pretty easy to find one. 1 in 3 men are either virgins or haven't had sex in the past year. Even historically, only 40% of men reproduce. So if you don't want a guy that cheats, pick one. Just find your friend zone.
Message!
But if you choose to get a guy that cheats, then
Yeah, like usually you don't get guys that cheat.
What? But yeah, so that, but I'm saying that was your grandma's choice.
Okay, but it's like you are saying, like, you're not saying where the study was done, who it was done. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I just think to each his own.
I think,
you know what I'm saying? If you want to be a person that has one partner, great.
It's the Center for Disease Control in the U.S. That's where the study was done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, and the thing is then, you know, I think that what ends up happening is when people come with stats and or studies from places, right, that debunk a stereotype, okay? Like, we have to realize that if I say, hey, all men cheat, right, or all men are dogs, it's like, well, where did that study come from? And when was that done? When was that conducted? You know, it usually is something that has been a stigma that's been passed down from generations. It's not something that's really current. Like, for example, this is a little bit off topic, but I just found out that only 8% of black men are actually considered deadbeat dads. But if you ask the world, it's way, well, in America, if you ask America, it's way bigger than that. Like, that's like a big thing. Like, men don't take care of their kids here, but it's like only 8% of us don't, right? So now it's like, well, we're getting the truth now. And at some point we have to understand that the truth is what it is. It's not what we want it to be. So if the truth is, in my opinion, right, most men don't want a girl. And I believe I said this here before. I'll say it again. Men don't want a girl who has slept with many partners. And it's not because she's a hoe, right? It's because, well, if she is a hoe, that's different. But if you have like 10 partners, for example, some men can stomach it and some men can't, right? A man like me, I can stomach it because my number is extremely higher than 10. Some men that numbers are 15, he's looking at her like, and like, you know, like him. And then in the same breath, what ends up happening is, it's like, well, what am I supposed to do with you, right? Am I supposed to provide for you? Am I supposed to take care of you and protect you the same? So why would I do that for somebody who has been accessible and dispersed amongst many men? You know, and at this point, we had a girl talk, I don't remember her name. She said she had over 2,000 bodies or something like that, right?
Okay.
I would say like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I say like 2,000. To be real honest with, like, if you put niggas and bitches, because I done fucked a lot of bitches too. So I be fucking niggas, I be fucking bitches, and I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna front.
And she was like, well, like, you know, like the stance that men and women can do the same things. Like, no, we can't, unless you're gonna play by the same exact rules across the board.
I have a question. Do you blame women for wanting a man that provides or like makes more money?
Do I blame women?
Like, do you think that's societal pressure and like stigma?
No, I think that's a woman's choice. I don't necessarily need a man to provide or do anything for me. I provide for myself, provide for my family. So, you know, when it comes to like those questions like that, like I don't think a man is supposed to provide for a woman. Okay, that is your choice. If you want a man to do that, that is your choice.
What about protect? So like if you were walking down the street and someone attacked you, would you feel like it's equal rights, equal lefts? He shouldn't step in to protect you?
I'm saying if he runs, I'm leaving him, but
Exactly. She would still expect a man to be in his masculinity when it comes to her safety. She is saying she would provide for herself and her family, supposedly. But what she really means is she would provide for herself and her kids if she has some. Not the husband. She is not being honest in this part here. Modern women believe that just because they form their own stability, that it means they are providers of their own. They are not including what comes with the masculine provision from men. They are not physically capable to be protected without men. They are not leading their family in a moral direction without men. And they are not financially responsible enough to maintain the family like they think without men. This woman is delusional. She will leave a man that doesn't provide the masculine protection, but would say she don't need a man for provision. So what do you want, a security guard? Is this the only thing modern women see men for? Just to step in when they are at risk of harm? That's it? They can do just as much as a man can, right? This is what they claim, right? So why leave a man from running away? You know why? Because women know biologically men have greater strength when it comes to that. They just feel they have the right to use men just for their strength. They really expect men to be just a shield with a wallet. I will never understand these women. They offer no value but expect to be the prize. Make that make sense. Well, let's move on.
Myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. So it just depends what you're looking for. I'm not looking for a man to give me those things.
The only reason I say that is like we have biological reasons for the reasons we feel the way we feel. So there's a biological reason you would leave him if he ran, because historically we would want someone to protect and provide, because we wouldn't pass on, like make it to the next generation if we didn't find someone to protect us and provide. Even being a single woman, like that's a privilege, because historically we couldn't even be single. We would die. Someone would like kill us. Or
They would?
Yeah.
Not I don't know who.
The point is there's biological reasons that you would leave him, and there's biological reasons that men feel the way they do about body count, because historically they had to ensure paternity. And we can like shame them for it and say you shouldn't care, but like they can't undo that feeling they get when they think of another dude that's like nailed his girl.
Yeah.
Actually, we were actually having this conversation earlier, and if we look back to Indian times when, you know, people lived in their Native Americans, right? And they lived in their, whatever is called their tribe.
Right.
People had sex with everyone. Everyone had sex with everyone. The paternity was not an issue.
Which tribe?
But that was also very
Native Americans.
I know, but there was a lot of different tribes in Native America. So I'm asking like which ones?
Well, I don't know.
Because like usually when I hear this stuff, it's an exception. It's not the rule that was like widespread amongst all.
I'm saying it says here that descendants in the communities in North America, Quebec, Michigan, Kansas, Oklahoma, all around the 17th century.
Which is right before it was colonized, which makes sense.
Yeah. So, you know, those were people that belonged to a clan that basically took care of their children. Like, everyone took care of everyone's children.
But I'm asking, like, how did it work with the paternity? Like you said, everyone was sleeping with everyone?
Yeah, but if we all live here, we all take care of the kids.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, like, how did it work, like, sexually? Like, everyone was sleeping with everyone? Is that what you're saying?
So one woman was having 6 different guys with babies.
She could have.
Okay, this just doesn't make sense with the data, because, again, like, only 40% of men have reproduced historically. So it seems like it would have been one man, like the powerful men with multiple women.
But if I have sex with several different men and I don't know who the father is, it doesn't matter that he couldn't reproduce.
No, what matters.
What was she even trying to say there? I mean, did any of y'all get that? So a woman can have children with 6 different men, and it won't matter to the men on who produced the baby or not? Is that where she is going with this? So multiple men are supposed to just share one woman that can only get pregnant once a year and hope that the baby she carries is theirs. If not, then they all can just raise the kids and are not supposed to feel any way about it. But if a man has multiple women, he's a bad man. She looks at her grandfather for being wrong in that specific kind of setting with women, but it's okay because, according to her, historically, natives had children with everybody and everybody raised kids. How do you go on saying it's not okay for your grandfather, but okay for women today to have multiple partners? And by your example, men should just raise the kids. Still, because a woman can have children with 6 different men, supposedly. She doesn't even make sense. I wish they asked her about that, since this was her reason for her own grandparents' unhappiness. Yet it's okay for women to feel love for multiple men, who I guess will never be curious as to who the father's child is. Wow. Let's keep going.
Is that, well, now we're talking about decision making, and what matters is the fact that you're just sleeping around clearly unprotectedly to the point where you don't know who the dad is, whether it be 2 men or 2 men or more.
We were talking about historically.
Well, I'm just saying historically, and the thing is, what ends up happening is we try to take something that has happened in one spot, right, which the tribes. And if we go back to the 17th century, there was 2 main groups of Native Americans at that time, right? One of them predominantly was the Moors American, and then the other one, I don't know the name of that, but the Moors American actually made up majority of America before the colonization, right, to my knowledge. Now, that I can tell you, in Moors American, being that they were probably the majority, most powerful people in America, they did not abide by those rules. Now, the other different Native Americans that had different tribes and different cultures, which could range, right? It could be a tribe could be 20 people, it could be 100 people, it could be 2,000 people, right? Now we're trying to argue with rules of their own rules, okay? But then what ends up happening is that's not the majority of the world, right? It doesn't matter if we want to go back to Asian Africa, right? Or we want to go to Europe, or we want to go to Asia, India. Even India, first and foremost, one of the Hindu is the longest, most current culture in, to the man's knowledge, right? So with that being said, they don't even believe in that, right? And in the Hindu religion, they don't believe in women sleeping with multiple men. And actually, I mean, they really don't believe in men sleeping with multiple women either, technically. It is an equality thing over there. But, and in my personal opinion, I think that is the best choice, right? Which is kind of going off on a tangent. But I do think that men should not sleep with as many women as we get praised to, right? Only because if you get really good at it, why would you stop? You know what I'm saying? And then especially if I'm that guy now, it makes no sense to stop. But from a woman's perspective, you got to pay to play. So if you are not paying, okay, if you're not covering these bills, if you're not protecting, if you're not doing these things, you need to be what is that person that will be doing those those are called survival skills. Men are providing survival skills for women. And then women are thinking that they can just sleep out and spontaneously, frivolously, recklessly.
What women are these?
Well, I mean, there's women that's saying that body count doesn't matter, and it does.
I just think it's the quality of women that you're coming around. Because let me ask you a question. You're a man, right? And because to me, I don't care how many women, and to me, I think it's like a being selfish and jealous. When if I ask a man, how many women have you slept with? He said 100. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about that because now you're with me. Now, if I'm insecure and I think that those other 100 women are even better than me or we're doing or whatever it is, whatever the reason is. So if you have a woman and she's great, you do not have to pay her bills, okay, because she has her own, right? She doesn't need you to protect her because she can take care of herself. But, she wants you as a man. So, of course, if you see something, you'll be like, oh, I got you, whatever. And she provides 90% of the things that you want, 90%. But that 10% is the body count that is bothering you, right? That body count.
How high is it?
It doesn't matter. Whatever number.
Give me a number.
What number would put you off? What number would put you off?
What number would...
So she describes this hypothetical great woman by her providing her for herself and protecting herself. But of course, since he is a man and she wants a man, she will expect him to be a man by doing things for her. Also, she provides, keyword provides, 90% of what he wants from her. And only 10% of her, I guess, which is the negative part about her, is her body count. Will he still be with her? I'm guessing that's the question she's asking. Now, they don't touch on this, so I wanted to point it out. Her description of a great woman is such a woman that provides for herself and can protect herself, but expects a man to still step in because, he's a man. This is the idea all modern women have. That, I'm still a catch because I pay my own bills. I can provide myself with stable living. I can hold a job or career, so I'm a catch. What they keep forgetting is that men don't care about that. She also said that this great woman is providing 90% of herself for him. Like what exactly? What is she doing that is provision for a man? She doesn't give any details. Why? Because women don't provide for a man. Women are a helpmate to a man that's providing for the family. Modern women don't know what providing really is. Just because you can pay a bill and work hard enough just to take care of yourself or your kids, don't make y'all providers for men. So what is this great woman she described providing? She's all perfect, but it's just her body count that makes her the only capable of giving 90% of herself. Men are not looking for a 90% woman to provide. Men want 100% of a woman, 100% of a helpmate, 100% of the woman's support for them. And the closest to 100% when it comes to the paternity of the children. Not a 90% woman because she didn't stick with any of the men she decided to lay with or have kids with. Y'all want a man to be there 100% with his capabilities of masculinity, correct? His provision, his leadership, his guidance, his financial stability. Then these 90% of women is not going to cut it. She has to come up with something to validate these types of women, and that still didn't work for me. But let's move on.
A number that's too high for me is...
Is 45
what
too high?
age is she? Because that does play a big part.
It doesn't matter because it's
29.
a 19-year-old.
25. 26.
25?
26. Wait.
If she's 25?
Yeah, 25.
Oh, God. The numbers are going to be lower. She's 25.
Or what do you typically date?
25, I say she has to have less than 10.
Okay.
Mathematically, the way I look at it is she lost her virginity at 17. 17 to 25, that's what, 8 years?
Mm-hmm.
That gives her about 1 1/3, 1 1/2 a year. That's fair to me.
If we're in a relationship and I have to sit here and do all this calculating just so we can discuss body count when we could be making money, when we could be building something, you think I'm gonna waste my time to do in 5 years you were not things, so your body count is, you think I'm gonna waste my time to do some shit like that?
You wasted your time every time you decide to sleep with somebody and not build with them.
And where was the lie in that? All right, so I'm going to end the first part of my review on that note, but what do y'all all think about this video, what was said? Make sure y'all are subscribed, hit the notification bell to alert you for more of my videos. If you like this review, definitely comment back part 2 for the second cut of the review for this discussion, and also leave timestamps down below so I know what part you are commenting on. Like this video, share this video. As you know, I have a goal for my first 1,000 subscribers. You know, y'all can always support my content with links down in the description box below and help me grow my channel. And as always, I thank you all for watching.